Fan, Stan, Ban.
Hello, and welcome back to the second of our nostalgia series. Mild throwback, like not intense throwback.
Yeah.
Late 2000s. With one of I think the greatest works of art in I would say in modern times, but just in art. And that is Melodrama by the one and only Lorde.
Yes.
This album really moved me. I remember the slow release of it and the build up to it, because we know, we can touch on this, Miss Lorde takes her time. She certainly took her time in between Pure Heroine and this one, but she's certainly taking her time now. But it made it all the more powerful when it came out, and I think it's definitely one of my favorite albums. I think it's one of the ones that so far that I've struggled with deciding what I would ban, because not only does it have amazing songs, but it also just as an album is so good. I loved, at some point she explained it as in her head, it's like from the beginning of like going out to the end, like it's one night in summer, like a party, and it's getting ready, and then it ends with at the end you being psychotic. And I just love that.
I was gonna say
one album of the year.
It should have. This is I mean, I've listened to this album more times than I can count, but I feel like this was the first time when I listened to it, I was like, oh, this is a story. So maybe that was just bad of me to miss that, but it didn't connect me until listening to it this time around.
Can we talk about also the fact that she was 20 when she released this? Like literally 20. This is her second album.
How did she have literally the brain power?
I
At
don't
20,
know.
I was suffering
younger
as a
than all of
sophomore.
us when
Well,
she
and here's
No, she wrote it for 3 years.
Yeah. The
So
thing is,
not even legal when she started this.
yeah. It's what's so interesting about her, because at first I'm like, this is her second album. It's so good. How does she go up from here? But then I think about, it's very apropos for when we're recording. It's like, not to make everything about her, but Fearless was Taylor Swift's second album. And I bet she felt the same way. And she just kept trudging on through.
Yeah.
So Lorde,
Please.
I know you're an artist, but like we need more.
Have you heard that? And I guess I have great respect for this. I love a dog myself, but Lorde was supposed to release an album where she was like working on it. She was like, my dog died, I have to postpone the album. And I was like, no! I was like, the dog wants you to do it.
Right.
Let's dedicate the album to the dog.
The dog.
So
please, Lorde.
I believe that was a little of it, but that was her reasoning in, I think it was November 2019. It's been a good while. I think we're getting there with this album. She said there's a title. Her Twitter just got taken down though, because she hasn't tweeted in so long. So I don't know if we're closer or further away.
Oh no.
But I wanted to bring up, because this is playing off of our episode that we did last week on Shawn Mendes. And playing off a lot of what Sam said in that episode that I feel like I took to heart when listening to other albums again, was that she also takes quite a lot of risks in this album. Some of them I don't love. There's a few things she does, or she like plays around with production a lot in this album, the way that Shawn Mendes attempts to in his. But
attempts to.
Go listen to the episode, and you'll go listen to the episode on Shawn Mendes.
Yes,
that's my plan.
Yeah.
But you made another good point where you said you had wished that Shawn Mendes album was his second album, and then this is hers, and I felt like it was the exact spot that you were talking about, where I feel like this was her album. Also, her first album was absolutely incredible, but this album, I felt like she really, truly was throwing everything at the wall, figuring out kind of like what the sound is, what she's doing. She took crazy amount of risks in this album, I think, and they paid off. But I really think it was exactly what you were talking about before, where this being a second album, I feel like will shape what she does for the future. I hope.
So should we talk about this producer drama in her with Mr. Jack Antonoff? Or do we not touch it?
I thought there was TikTok, guys. This is also a thing because she doesn't go on social media and we haven't heard from her in years. Well, we hear from her every once in a while. But TikTok grasped onto the concept of her and Jack Antonoff, who is her main producer on all of this album, dating, and that being why she had a fallout with Taylor Swift. And I was buying the drama. I was feeding into the conspiracy until I found out she apparently said that her and Jack have worked on the third one together this whole time, and they've been on FaceTime during COVID. So do I feel like I wasted time? Yes. Am I thrilled about it because I think they're the best duo ever? Yes.
But it's been like 3 or 4 years, right? Like maybe they just worked through it.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Look, I just love
maybe they were literally like
theory.
the art. We gotta like
we have to put it aside. The world needs us.
Hey, you know what? If that's the case, as long as my conspiracy theory digging had led me to the conclusion that they would no longer be working together, and I was so devastated by that having the now inkling that they are, and the next album will still be the two of them, I don't give a shit about the conspiracy anymore. As long as we get this music, you can have whatever breakup story you want. I will respect it, and I will stop stalking your personal lives.
There you go. It's been said.
Okay.
My thoughts. With that being said.
Man.
Who's
going?
I'll go.
Okay, you go.
Sam will go.
No, you go. I think I went first last time. You go.
Okay. My fan is Supercut.
My fan is Supercut as well.
My stan is Supercut. This song is
so good.
Maybe the first time though all three of us have ever overlapped in a positive way.
Seriously. That's how
on the Venn diagram
and incredible this song is.
Supercut is in the middle.
Oh my gosh. It's like a sad, happy song, I almost feel like, but it's so funny and self-aware. Like where she just keeps going, in my head, I do everything right. Like it cracks me up. Maybe because I feel like I'm seeing a little too much in it. But it's the production of it makes it such a like radio friendly single in a way that's different than a lot of the stuff on the radio.
Oh my god, it's just like cinematic. And what you were just saying, I won't like bore you with the details, but I'm reading this book that's all about like linguistics.
Cute.
And the way it's just fascinating to me that she's able to pull it off in this song where like, you like completely understand what's happening, where you're like very aware she's looking back on it, but then she's also speaking in this like hypothetical of in the past what she would have done now. Like the way that she can, people like, that's difficult to do in a movie, that's difficult to do in a book, the way that she can do it in this 3-minute song and you get it and it's perfect, and then it also is just so produced so well. It's insane. It's like evil. It's just like literally deranged that it's so good.
Going off of the fact that it's cinematic, Dragon's probably so sick and tired of hearing me talk about this movie. It is. It's in Someone Great. I will forever be the biggest stan of that movie. Why? I don't know. It's so good. And they play that song during like this montage, which honestly is the best part of any movie, you know, but it's like a sad montage because her and her boyfriend of like a long time broke up, and it's like playing through all of it, and just for her to be like have Supercut in the background, and it's just like, in my head I do everything right, like I don't even try to fight you, like I just forgive you, and then like it just it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Wow.
Question about it though. And I noticed this with a lot of Lorde songs, the endings of them, they just kind of get muffled and they go on for a really long time.
Which I like that.
I wonder if it's going with how this is supposed to kind of be like one big story of like a night. You know, it's
That's
kind of
what-
like, even if it's like a party, you know, and it's just like really loud and like all your thoughts and just everything's like muffled. Like maybe she was playing into that.
That's what I always
you're
thought.
making me like it better because I'm the queen of like skipping a song with 5 seconds left because I don't want to hear the last piano.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. So
in
it
my
bothers
head, it's almost like, wait, go ahead.
No, that was it.
Oh. In my head, it's almost like, you know how like in a movie when they're like walking away, I don't know. I see it's like all these songs are happening in different rooms of this house, and it's like you're going from room to room, so you're moving away and it's getting quieter.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this song.
She should have made this a visual album, you know?
Well, what's really interesting that we can jump into later with stuff, but I should have written the word down. What is it where when you're thinking of ideas, you see colors?
She has synesthesia.
She has that. And I feel like that is like it adds a lot of value to this album. And I feel like you can understand her brain through this.
That's so cool. I had no idea. That makes so much sense.
Wait, so what's your fan, Lexia?
Oh, my Lexia. Wow. my fan is Perfect Places.
Okay.
It's just like the perfect way to start it. It's like I'm trying to figure out like, okay, where are we going? What are we gonna do? But then also how she's talking about like all of her heroes are fading. I feel like it's just like such a good but sad like growing up song, and just being like, I don't know what in the world is going on, but I'm just here. But like, what's a perfect place? I don't know. And I'm feeling that as I'm about to graduate, of just like, there's a lot of confusion. So I'm just really connecting to this song. And yeah.
It is a really good one. I can never remember if this is the one. No, I think it's Homemade Dish. There's the one where she like got laryngitis, and she was supposed to perform on the VMAs or whatever, and she still performed, but all she did was dance to a boombox and looked like a cupcake gown. And I don't know.
Kind of fun.
It's either this one or Homemade Dynamite, but I can't remember.
They're kind of the same energy.
I think it might be Homemade Dynamite, actually. They are similar energy, but yeah, okay. That's a good one. I love that.
Thank you. I'm always, it's just too good. I have to listen to it every time.
I guess I'll piggyback off that for my stan, because I think what she does incredibly well in this album in general, and it's all the songs we've touched on so far, is that she has produced a very radio friendly album, but none of the singles actually are like generic radio friendly songs. And because of that, this album came out when I was a senior in high school, and I listened to this album today and I still understand new things. I think I like the album more than I did when I was a senior in high school. But this song I chose because, first of all, I saw her perform this song at Coachella and it like rocked my world. But it is the most, maybe my favorite single of any person ever, like ever at single. It's Green Light. It is just such an incredible song. I feel like she captures everything that we want in a song that's played every hour on the radio. You never get bored of it. Like I never get bored or tired of this song. I never am like, oh, this is too, like I've heard it too many times today. No, because it's so interesting. It's like an upbeat, sad song, which we all love. It's clever. I love the whole thing about it. It's it for me.
I went to this concert freshman year, I guess, of college it would have been. And I think she might have closed with Green Light. I could be a little wrong, but it was near the end of the show. And it was so powerful because she just like, it's when the confetti cannons go off. And she literally just yelled like dance, and the whole venue, I swear, was just like going insane. And it made the song so much better for me.
Yeah, she ended Coachella with it also, and that was the same vibe. So I'm gonna say I think you're correct. It was the exact same thing. And also, it's such a fun way to describe trying to move on from a relationship and being stuck with it, because at its core, it's just that concept. But it's so, like, it's so fun to listen to. It's
it's so good. So that's your stan?
That's my stan.
Okay.
That energy is how I feel about, well, maybe not that energy. Mine's more of like an obsession. My stan is 3 billion% the Louvre. Ooh. Because
makes sense.
It's probably like one of my 5 favorite songs in the world. Because the verses are just like modern poetry. And I think I know what Jacqueline is going to say, because I see her kind of bouncing. The chorus is so fucking weird, but I love it.
But it's so good.
It's so
good. The idea, yes.
It's guys, it is, and it is exactly what we talked about in the beginning, where I said she takes a lot of risks. The verses, the part where it's like the rush at the beginning, it's masterpiece levels of brilliant. And then she does like a cop out, and I get it. It could work for some people. I think it's gimmicky and it's kind of dumb in comparison to how good the rest of the song is. That's it.
It just, I'm done. Going along with it being like cinematic, it's just the whole thing of like, I have this image in my head of like her and whoever she's dating just like literally running through the Louvre, and then her just like stopping and looking at the camera and being like, who cares? It's still the Louvre. Like, who cares where we're in it? And I'm like, I love that.
I love so the outro. I think that's why I like it. If like, I don't know, the production and that chorus and all of that almost pattern, like the emotion she's conveying of, you're like, when you're obsessed with somebody and you get these like intense rushes that are happening in the verse and the like pre, and you're like building, and then it is sort of, then you're like, and you kind of have to gasp. And it just sort of like releases. And then you feel like, it makes me feel like I'm floating. That's why I feel like the choruses are, that you like are building up, and then you're like in this like head high, like float, like. It's so good. And then the freaking line down the back, but who cares? Still the Louvre. Incredible.
Okay, sorry. I want to elaborate on the fact that I love the production of the chorus. It's literally just the lyrics she chooses to say that bothers me. The production of it and the feel of it, I love. I just think broadcast the boom, boom, boom. It's
of her heart.
We could do better.
Cute.
Boom, boom, boom of her heart. I don't know. I understand what you're saying. It took me a minute too. I felt like the first like 10 or 15 times I heard this song, I was like, I love this song. How am I gonna get past this? But then it like sank into me, and I was like, no, I kind of am obsessed with this.
Like, I get it.
You're like, I get it. I'm tracking, Lorde.
I see it.
Ella.
Oh,
okay,
Ella.
And you're a fan. No, you're Stan. The supercut.
Yes.
Okay.
So I guess we're on to bans.
Who's banning what?
I can start. I don't know if this is going to be controversial or not.
Oh no.
Okay, I banned Liability. Not because it's not an incredible song, but just because it makes me like way too sad. And I'm like, Lorde, I don't need to hear that. I don't want it. That's not something I can process right now. So I'm just gonna take it away. And I like the reprise almost better. So keep that, get rid of Liability.
Can we talk about that? Because she does this in 2 songs. She has a song, so Liability, and then there's a Liability reprise, and then there's Sober and Sober 2. Can we talk about those choices? Because it is an interesting thing, because they aren't back to back. They're like on different parts of the album, and they do both play on the same concepts. But it's an interesting choice she did. We don't really ever see that with albums. I don't know. It makes me try and like track and see. But my question with Liability, not my ban, enjoy it a lot. But I was listening to it. Someone tell me your thoughts on this, because maybe I'm just so off. But I felt like it was almost like she felt like she was okay with herself. She wasn't okay with like how people around her were perceiving her, but like she was okay with herself. And then it almost made me like the song more, because I was like, no, like that's like it didn't feel self-loathing. And I feel like everyone perceives this song as like a self-loathing song, and it's not. And I think that's sick. Like that's so cool that she's saying all this stuff like I'm a liability, but it doesn't like affect her view of herself negatively. And I think that's such a cool concept.
I think it's just like at the end of the day, I would never want somebody to think I was a liability. Like even like I love that she's just like, at the end of the day, it's me, you know, like when we're just kind of chilling, I'm happy with it. But like just the thought of someone being like, she's a liability, I'm like, no, get that out of here.
She's like taking away the power of it, because she's like, I know I am.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's
like
true.
We're all liability. Lexi, you are a liability.
I think at our core, like at our most authentic selves, we all are a liability. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like there's too much other stuff going on for me to want.
No, I won't argue with, because I almost did choose this as my band too, in the sense of this, almost the same logic of you, kind of the logic of why I banned This Is Me Trying on Folklore, where I was a little bit just like, you know, sometimes I don't need the energy. But then I thought about like not having that song in the world, and I was like, that kind of
that's
too much. So I went with I love interludes, because I think it's, to me, I mean, I think the album, okay, so I banned Sober Too, which I like, but I was just gonna choose one of the interludes, and that's what I'm choosing. I like everything on the album. There isn't one thing I would get rid of, so it's just gonna be that. There's truly like there's not a song I would get rid of. There's just not. There's just not.
Okay, Sober Too, in my digging, and I felt this, like I felt like Sober Too is what brings the entire album together. Like I felt like it encapsulates everything in this album. It brings it all together. And then I was doing research on it, and she talked about how this song and that creation was like how in her mind, like she visually in that moment she was making this song understood the whole album. Like that's where the whole melodrama idea came from.
Yeah, because it's Sober to melodrama.
It is. And to me, melodrama is the absolute, it describes this album amazing, but this song, I feel like without it, like the album wouldn't be what it is. I feel like it's like the heart and soul of the album, but people don't give it the credit it deserves.
I think I just truly like wouldn't ban anything, so I'm just choosing one. Like I don't want to. I like
close
the
your eyes and
reprise of Liability almost better than the actual song. I don't like it better, but I think it's more beautiful and haunting. So it's not gonna be that one.
Yeah.
Sober 2 goes. There's this like video, maybe right before she came out, before the album came out, she was like playing it in like a room of 20 people and like performing it, and it's so good. But it's just what has to go. It's reluctantly, sadly,
my band,
for me,
I did not have a problem picking a band. Mine, to no one's surprise, is Rider in the Dark. Don't love it. I feel like it's the only perspective she takes in this album that I don't love. It feels very like revenge and resentful. Don't love that. I honestly don't even really like the production of it. I know it's like supposed to be the more stripped back song, but if we're taking a stripped back song, I would keep Liability any day. I feel like this one, the chorus almost sounds like whiny. I don't know. It's just, for me, it gives me the ick a little.
I love the chorus. I am my mother's child. No, wait, no.
No.
That's Liability.
That's Liability. But it has like
what is the chorus of the song?
To it.
Is it just Bet You Rue the Day You Kissed a Rider in the Dark?
Yes.
Yeah. And she sounds like her voice kind of sounds a little distorted, right?
Whiny.
Okay.
No, I said my description of it was whiny.
She's like, it's whiny.
What it kind of is. And she the entire time, and I get even in the song to a degree, she plays up, and I think it's like awesome that she takes this perspective as a woman where she's not like ever like giving power away, but if any song were to be like she's really giving like discrediting her own power and letting someone else like dictate her like attitude. I feel like it's a song, and it's not my favorite. It's my least favorite.
It's my least favorite. I feel like I have a lot of thoughts about that, but none at all. You know, like you're right. It is kind of whiny and stuff, but it's
I feel like it has a subversive power. Because she's almost like, I have the ultimate power. I have the last word. There's nothing I do better than revenge. It's a weird like yielding of your power, but
it's almost like her breaking point.
Yes, I agree.
A sense where you can see her like starting to spiral. And so it's like kind of cool then for her to, even in like liability and stuff, to be like, no, but at the end of the day, I'm cool. I'm gonna go home to myself. I like who I am.
And dance with myself.
And dancing, yeah. So I'm like, that's an interesting way to look at it though, Jacqueline. That does make me think a little bit harder about the song.
Okay. Cool. And I get what Sam's saying, because it is still, she is exhibiting power, but it's exhibiting power at someone else's expense. And I don't know how much I love like that signifying power. You know, whereas the rest,
That's
she feels power within herself. What?
That's the ultimate definition of power.
I know, but I think
it's
in
just like
this
a
album,
non-nice
her power comes from like her own power comes within herself.
Yeah.
And then this is the only one where it comes from like at someone else's expense. And so for me, that was my feelings.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, but like I'm understanding what Jacqueline's saying.
No, I understand too.
Like,
I knew it would be her band.
But
if your least favorite Taylor Swift album is Reputation, you're gonna ban Rider in the Dark. That's just what's gonna happen. They're the same sentiment.
I think I've been on the receiving end of like revenge and resentment, and I just don't, in that sense, like that's not where my like reaction's ever going to be in a situation. So I just don't understand it. If anything, I'm like butthurt about it because it's never going to be my reaction to something.
Fair. Okay. I think you made a good argument, a good case for it.
Which is a perfect for tomorrow's episode, circling the other R in a certain blonde-headed girl's discography, Red, not Random Access Memories, but Red, the album of our time. And that's what I'll say.
Truly. I think I just don't know how I'm gonna pick tomorrow.
I'm scared.
I have my picks.
I'm impressed.
I'm actually nervous. No, I'm nervous because I'm nervous. Like, I feel like this album has my heart and soul to the point where, like, I think I'll be personally offended and fighting for stuff in a way that maybe I haven't ever before. Like, it'll be my soul fighting for these songs and not just my brain.
We're going down swinging tomorrow.
I'm swinging hard. Coming for you.
Yeah, good luck, everybody.